veYored. Says the Holy Mishnah Chesed Beis in Horayos Le'ilu Nishmas, all the people who died in Meron on Lag BaOmer Lefuas all the Cholim. Says the Mishnah, Ein Chayovin al Shmias Kol Val Bitus Fasayim Val Tumas Mikdash veKodoshov, which means there are three Averas, they're in your charts, and those Averas are what? The three Averas which are Korban Oleh veYored. There are three things that if you broke that Isser, you don't bring just a regular Chatas Kavua, which is a female sheep or goat. You have the option, depends on your financial ability and stability. If you are rich, you're one of the rich and famous, or I would say maybe regular, what do you bring? If you're not that rich, you only go up to the Jones, you're upper middle class. Actually, it's called Oni. If you're poor, what do you bring? You bring two doves. Yeah, chatas and oila. Okay, and if you can't even manage that, la'aleinu, what do you bring? A mincha, very good. You go to mincha and bring mincha, a tenth of the ephah. On what kind of averas is that brought? Al shmias kol. By the way, this Mishnah begins with ein chayovin, which means beis din. We're not talking about beis din, the public korban. You do not have to bring. Beis din don't have to bring any korban if they made a mistake regarding shmias kol. Shmias kol means a person who heard a voice, not that he's hearing voices like Muhammad. Shmias kol means what? That he heard he was summoned to court or by his friend, someone's friend is a litigant, and he says, don't you know, aren't you the witness, didn't you witness the fact that so-and-so borrowed $10,000 from me? And you know, the person knows that he borrowed $10,000 and he refuses to come to Beis Din and he lies. And he says, no, I swear, not only lies, he's nishba l'sheker. He lies, makes a false oath, a false shvuah saying, no, nothing, I never saw anything, I ain't seeing nothing. And that is what? That means that he has to bring, once he admits that he lied and the court case goes on, what does he do? He has to bring a korban, Oleh veYored. Well, bitus fasayim. What's the second one? Bitus fasayim. Bitus fasayim is a person made a regular shvuah lehora or lehetiv. I will eat or I won't eat. I will ride the bike, I won't ride the bike. And he broke the shvuah. Whatever he said he'd do, he didn't do it. Well, tumas mikdash vekodoshov. A person who mistakenly he went into Beis HaMikdash while being Tomeh, or he ate Kodshim while being Tomeh. So these, if they're individuals, a regular Joe Schmo guy has to bring the Korban Oleh veYored, but Beis Din don't have to bring that Korban. If they misled the Tzibur, they don't have to bring anything. Maybe the Tzibur has to bring, that's a different question. That's the old question all the time, but the Beis Din don't. V'anosi kayoytze b'hem, diva Rabbi Yosef Glili. Now, the Nosi, which is the Melech, interesting. One more exception to the rule regarding the Melech, the Nosi, says Rabbi Yosef Glili, a Melech and does not have to bring the Korban either. If a Melech broke one of those three Averas, he does not bring a Korban. Why is a Melech an exception? The Gemara will explain. That's Rabbi Yosef Glili. By the way, today's title would be, if I would give a catchy title, there would be the celebrities and Oleh veYored. In other words, the relationship between Korban Oleh veYored and people like the Melech or the Kohen Gadol. Do they or don't they have to bring the Korban? That's the topic. Says Rabbi Yosef Glili, the Nosi, the Melech does not have to bring that Korban. Why? We're going to see very soon in Mitzvah Hashem. Rabbi Kiva Omer, Nosi Chayiv B'Kula. No. The Nosi, the Melech, he's not above the law. He is mechuyav to bring all these korbanos, meaning in case he breaks any of the three, chutz mishmias hakol, except for if a melech says, I don't know any edus and I'm not going to come to Beis Din to testify for you for your monetary issues. Why not? Shamelech, this is a quote from Sanhedrin, the beginning of the third parak of Sanhedrin. Yeah, actually the second parak, Shamelech lo dan velo dan in oisoi, lo meid velo meid in oisoi. Melech, if he comes, the question is what kind of melech, we're going to discuss it soon. A melech is not being judged by Sanhedrin, and he cannot be a judge himself, and also he cannot be he cannot be a witness, and people don't give witness for him. What does that mean? So, first of all, what it means regarding our Mishnah, because the melech is not supposed to be an aid, a melech who comes from either base, not David, or base David, we'll discuss it soon, a melech in general, cannot come to Beis Din to give testimony. Why? Because it's not covered for the melech. An aid has to stand up. The Eidim have to stand while the Dayanim sit. So it's not nice that the Dayanim would sit and the Melech stands up. And he can't be even moichel that covered. So because the Melech does not testify for anybody anyways, so obviously he's out of the picture. It's nothing to do with this korban of I did testify, I didn't testify. It's irrelevant for you if a melech saw you giving $10,000 loan to Shprenzelovsky, yes or no. It doesn't make a difference because the melech anyway cannot be made. And therefore the melech is out of the picture because technically he's not a person who can testify. Now regarding this, there's a lot of discussion in Sanhedrin and Rishonim that the people, the melachim who can never testify are those not from Beis David. The kings who are not from the Davidic dynasty, as you'd like to call them, they unfortunately were not as religious. They did not cooperate. There was a story about Yanai Melech. Yanai Melech was from Chashmonai, and he completely disregarded Chachamim. He did not treat them nicely. And then the Chachamim were like, whatever, they okayed it. They didn't give him to Chacham. The other Dayanim said, okay. They looked in the ground, not doing anything regarding Yanai, who had to be whatever, he had to be treated harsher. And then Gabriel came. Then Shimon the Meshatach said, Hashem will punish you. Malach, Gabriel came and he killed them. He killed the Dayanim. He whatever, mamash on the floor. He basically like stampede, whatever, I don't want to say. Yeah, he banged them down on the floor. And then they said, let's leave Malchei Yisrael out of the picture. They don't cooperate, it only causes trouble. Now the Malchei Beis David, if it's an edus of nefoshes, if a Melech Beis David sees that somebody killed someone, then he should be an aid because it's really, really important. It's a very critical thing it's too critical to ignore. But if it's a Melech Beis David and it's to do with money, which, by the way, Shavuos Edus is only about money, then we say, if it's about money, then we give up the Edus of the Melech of Beis David because it's not respectful or respectable for us to ask him to be made while the Dayanim are sitting. We can discuss this a lot. This is in Sanhedrin. But in any event, Rabbi Kiva says because the Melech cannot testify anyways, assuming he is from actually either Beis David or not Beis David, then he's out of the picture. Okay, we're going to elaborate on the opinions in Meretz Hashem. Frag the Gemara, Omar Ula, my time of Rabbi Yossi Glili. What did Rabbi Yossi Glili say? Rabbi Yossi Glili said that what? That the Melech does not give any Oleh veYored, any of the three cases. Yeah? Shmias Chol, Mikdash Kadoshov, Bitus Fasayim, nothing. This entire korban is out of the picture for Melech. Why? Why is that? Amar Kro, it says in the Pasuk, if you'll have, the Pasuk that discusses those korbanos says, if you'll have the guilt, the ashma of one of those, meaning one of those three. Says the drosha, if you can potentially be chayiv on each and every one of the three of those faults, then you chayiv on all of them. If one of those three don't apply to you, then none of them applies to you. It's a package deal, all for one for all. Meaning, since the melech, everyone agrees, cannot bring the korban of Oleh veYored for not testifying. He's not supposed to testify. He's like a woman. He's like a kid. There's nothing to testifying, yeah? And Mimela, nothing to do with anything. Mimela, the other two that do apply to him, let's say the Melech mistakenly went to Beis HaMikdash after he was Tomeh. He touched the mace, went to Beis HaMikdash unknowingly. He doesn't bring a korban. Why? Because the other Oleh veYored doesn't apply to him, then the other two also don't apply to him. It's all for one for all. Package deal. Frag the Gemara, why do you darshan that way? I can darshan exactly the same words in a different way. I could say that the other way around. I could say, no, one of those, yeah? I could say, if he's chayv in one of the three, he's chayv one of the three. Maybe each one works independently. So Melech can never be chayv for what? For the shvua of testifying, because he's never a testimony, never a witness. Mashenka and the other two, he can still bring and should bring the other two for making a shvua. I'll eat pizza tomorrow. The king made a shvua. I will eat pizza tomorrow. And he didn't. Then what? Why shouldn't bring a korban? These are all three separate korbanos. One is tuma, one is shvua, and one is edus. So we reject it. Ella, second to last line, we're in the penultimate line. Ella time to This is the real reason for Be'esei Glili. Ella means we rejected the previous answer, and I was saying a new answer. The Tanya, it says in the Braisa, and this is the final answer for Be'esei Glili. By the way, Rabbi Yirmiyah as a Tana, Rabbi Yirmiyah as a Tana, Rabbi Yirmiyah Omer, Ne'emar, it says, Ne'emar, one second, Ne'emar lo tagia yodoi, v'ne'emar lo tasig yodoi. It says about the people who either bring the middle class korban, which is the doves, the toyom oibnei yoino, or the ones who bring the lowest one, if his hand doesn't reach, which means misken, he's too poor. It's out of the reach of his hand, meaning out of the reach of his pocket. Yeah, it's going to make him a hole in the overdraft and an overdraft in the overdraft. Misken can't afford it. What does that mean? These korbanos only apply to a person who's sometimes rich and sometimes poor. It comes to that matzav of sometimes being poor and rich. Everyone potentially can be rich or poor. Yotzo, this is excluding Nosi uMashiach, bam bam bam, both of them, the two celebrities, Nosi and Mashiach, both of them are excluded. Shein boinu de'anius, a melech and a Kohen Gadol are always rich. They're always in the Forbes, the list of 100 richest people. Yeah, in Israel, the Globes. Yeah, they are the two very rich people. They can never get poor, or that's what we think at this point. Why is that? Nosi, what does it say about the Melech? It says, "Ve'oso achas mikol mitzvot Hashem Eloikov." It says about, regarding our korban, a person who breaks the rules of the mitzvah of Hashem Elokav. Now the drosha comes, Mi she'en al gavav el Hashem Elokav. A person who only has Hashem on top of him, yeah, this person is out of that question. The Nosi, the Melech, is so rich that the only one above him is Hashem. In other words, yeah, that's a rich people thing, hopefully. That, in other words, the only one that supersedes the Melech is a Kadosh Baruch Hu himself. Not Chas v'Shalom in mitzvahs. He has to keep mitzvahs. It's not like he's above the law. You see how Nos and Anovi rebuked David very harshly. Yeah, I mean, beginning with Remez and then afterwards, no. But Lamaisa, financially speaking, the king's supposed to be a very, very, very rich man. Nobody has to be above him. And therefore, that's it. So the Melech, because he can never get poor, so this korban doesn't apply to him at all. Which means, I would say if the Melech stepped into Beis HaMikdash while he was impure by mistake, why shouldn't bring the korban, the rich korban? Bring a nice fat she-goat. No. Because he cannot, so to speak, he's not supposed to bring the poorest version. The poor version would never apply to him, so no version applies to him. He's out of the entire, scale up and down. That's nothing to do with the Melech, because the Melech is forever rich and famous. He's in the newspaper. Now, Mashiach. How do you know that the Kohen Gadol, the Mashiach, also so rich? Maybe he's a Kohen, but who says he's a rich guy? Maybe he's begging for some Truma and Chala and Maisros and Gez. Says the Gemara, no. Dichtiv, it says in the Torah, the Kohen Gadol me'echov. What does it mean, the Kohen which is greater than his brothers? Shu Gadol me'echov. The Kohen Gadol is chosen by his talents, by his characters. Like what? He's the greatest one of his brothers, of his brethren. Benoi, he's the most handsome. Bekoyach, the most powerful, the mighty. Bechochma, the most intelligent. Ube oisher, and the richest. Yeah, he has to be beautiful, has to be strong, has to be wise, has to be rich. Bekitzer, every shidduch suggestion to my daughter sounds like that. Yeah, okay, but the Kohen Gadol really has to be that. So he has to be Osher. If he's not rich, he can't be Kohen Gadol. The Baron Kotler brings down from earlier sources, the Eibishter made the world that way, that people respect the rich people. That's why the Ovis were rich. Yeah, our holy patriarchs, why were they rich? Not because of money, they cared so much about money, because that's how people would listen to them. Yeah, if you're a poor guy, people don't listen to you. If you're a rich guy, people see you as influential and they listen to you. Another opinion says something very similar, but even more so. Minayin, how do you know Shim'en Loi? What happens if he's not rich? Let's say you have a Kohen who is tall, dark, and handsome. He's very intelligent, big Talmid Chacham. He's mighty and he's very handsome. He's mamish from the cover. And what? But he's not so rich. Misken, he's not so rich. What do you do in this case? How do you, so to speak, coronate him? How do you anoint him to be Kohen Gadol? You have to make him big, meaning you have to enrich him through his brothers. There's now a chiyuv to all other Kohanim. They have a chiyuv to give him money and make him the richest one. Make him rich. He's not rich, make him rich. How do you know that? Talmud Loimer, because it says, Kohen Gadol me'echov. Me'echov in English could either be he is the greatest one of his brothers, or from his brothers. He took money, he received money, literally me as from. In English, it's a different word, yeah? He got money from me, from his brothers. And that's it. Asher yutzakal roishoi gadlehu me'echov. Yeah? You anoint him on the head like this, nah? Why? Because he became the greatest one of his brothers. But to cut a long story short, the Kohen Gadol, I'll be with you in a second, I promise. The Kohen Gadol and the Melech are the richest guys around, and therefore the Korban of Lo Tagia Diodoi, Lo Tasig Yodoi does not apply to them ever. All three Korbanos, it's a chart of 3 and 3. All three Korbanos that have 3 levels of Korbanos, 3 levels, don't apply to the rich and famous, to those richest people, because it says only person may get poor. A regular billionaire who happens to be the richest guy in the country, I don't want to say names, all very nice, he can get poor. He's not halachically, essentially, conceptually rich. He happens to be rich. Yeah, didn't we read all these stories about from rags to riches, riches to rags? It happens by Mitzias, yeah? So by Kohen Gadol and the Melech are halachically supposed to be rich, and we're supposed to make them rich, yeah? Mimela, those people are, so to speak, by halachic prescription rich, those people, the Korban doesn't apply to them. Yeah, what do they bring? Either nothing, we'll see afterwards a different opinion, Rabbi Kiva, we'll leave that for later. But for sure, those Korbanos they don't bring, okay? Question time.
If they don't bring anything,
yeah.
How do they get kapara?
Oh, good question, which I'm staying online with. How do they get kapara? Like any person can bring a korban. Any person who is shoygeh korv lemezi is stuck. They should cry very hard in Yom Kippur. Give a lot of the money to tzedakah. David the Melech did serious tshuva. Okay, his avera was not this kind of avera, but yeah, they have to use alternative ways of doing tshuva. Yeah. Now we're going into another question regarding the Melech. Ba minei. The line starts with the word minei. We're about more or less 10 lines from the top. Line starts with minei. Ba minei Ravina. Ravina had a question which he asked Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. What's the question? Nosi she nitztarea mahu. What happens if a Nosi, which is a king, gets Tzaraas? Lo aleinu, Tzaraas is not a happy business, and it happened to Uziyahu HaMelech. Uziyahu HaMelech sort of overstepped the boundaries, and he wanted to serve as a Kohen. He tried to bring a korban as if he was a Kohen in Beis HaMikdash, and then there was a Tzaraas that was shining, not very nice shine, on his forehead, and he became a Metzoira. I don't want to say leper, because I'm not exactly a leper, by the way. Yeah, he got Tzaraas, and then he stayed in a house called Beis HaChofshis, in the free house or vacation house till the end of his life. There are many different explanations to what that free house means exactly. The Freemasons, it means that one explanation is that since he was Metzoira, he did not, so to speak, officiate as a king. Till the end of his life, he did not serve as a king. He was a king with no crown, and his son officiated instead of him. Okay? This was Uziyahu. So from there we learn that if a melech is Metzoira, that stays out of the camp to whichever level, the melech cannot actually serve as a melech. Now the question is regarding that, wait a minute, let's say the melech is a Metzoira, so officially he's a melech, but he's not actually, right now, he's not serving as one. Temporarily, he's off the throne. The corona is off and he's off the throne. What happens then? Does he bring a korban? If he's a non-officiating king, does he bring a korban in case in this matzav he made a shvua? He made a shvua as a metzora, tomorrow I'm going to eat, I don't know, bread, or no, and he broke the shvua. Just one example. What do we say? The question is, midcha dochi, very misleading by the way, these words. Midcha dochi, was he rejected forever? Do we say once he is, no, midcha dochi is rejected from bringing the korban, not from being a king. Do we say that once a king is rejected from bringing the korban, do we say that's it, forever he never brings a korban, even though right now he's off the throne and off the crown? Or maybe just a temporary exemption too. It's just a temporary thing. Yeah, but really he's still a king. He's at the moment for a few weeks or a few months or years he's off the throne, but really he's a king. What would you say? Yeah, and therefore he should bring the korban now. Yeah, it's a temporary thing. So Bekitzer, does he or doesn't he bring the korban? Is it a temporary thing, or do we say that's it? That's it. As a melech, he never brings it. Or to say, yeah, he brings it because temporarily he's not a king. If right now temporarily he doesn't serve as a king, so let him be ringy. Don't be above the law, as you say. Amar lei, I'll answer and then I'll hear your questions. So he answered him a bit sarcastically. Who's going to pay? Dilach, are you going to pay for his korban? Or the Gaza? Or from his, Gaza here means the house of treasures. Yeah, is it going to come from his treasure? Don't worry, it will come from his house. This is a rhetorical question. Who will pay for it? The Melech will pay for it, which means even after being in the Tzaraas, Beis Chofshis, and not officiating as a king, he still enjoys the riches of the kingdom. He still has access to all the money of the royal house in Buckingham. No, not in Buckingham. Yeah, he still has access to the riches of the house of, how do you call it? No, whatever. Yeah, Bekitzer, of the palace. Yeah, and Mimela, he does not bring the korban because he's rich, because he has the richness of the king. He has the wealth of the king. Even though he doesn't officiate as one right now, he's still potu and will not bring a korban because he's not one of those people that go up and down the financial escalator. That's it. That's the end of opinion of Rabbi Yossi Glili. Let's summarize. Easy. Opinion number one. We're going to see 4 opinions, so let's count them. Don't give up. They're very easy. Rabbi Yossi Glili, opinion number one. Who's off the hook when it comes to a korban of Oleh veYored? Which 2 personalities in the newspaper all the time? The king and the high Kohen. You know not to say the word priest when I'm in the room. That's very good. You're educated. Yeah? The Melech and the Kohen Gadol, they are always rich and never bring those kind of korbanos. They have different kapara. That's it. That's obviously a clearly question time. You want to say something? No? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, weiter. Tanya, opinion number 2, Rabbi Akiva. Tanya comes the second opinion, which was on the Mishnah. Opinion number 2 is Rabbi Akiva. Tanya, Rabbi Akiva Omer, Mashiach potur mikulon. Rabbi Akiva says that the Kohen Gadol is potur from all of them. What did we say in the previous Amud? Yeah, it says before that we saw that Rabbi Akiva says that the Nosi, Rabbi Akiva says in the Mishnah that the Melech is potur from what kind of korban? One of the 3 cases. Which one? Of refusing and lying about being a witness. Why? Because the Melech can never be a witness. Would you punish me for not going this morning to the Duchan? Would you come to me and say, Akiva, why didn't you bring us a bracha this morning? Duchan, Birkas Kohanim. I'm not a Kohen. What do you want from my life? Yeah, well, what do you want from me? Well, I'm not, believe me, I'm not a Kohen. Maybe I'd like to be, I'm not, yeah? So the same thing, what do you want from the Melech? Why didn't you come to be a good citizen, be a juror, no, be an aide? He's not supposed to be an aide, so there's no tiny on him. Everyone agrees to that. The Melech, this korban doesn't apply to him. That's the first item by Rabbi Akiva. Second thing Rabbi Akiva says is Mashiach potur mikulan. Rabbi Akiva says that the Kohen Gadol, in that respect, he agrees to Rabbi Yossi Glili, that the Kohen Gadol is potur from all of them. Now, you can't say it's because of being rich, because Rabbi Akiva believes that a melech is chayiv in 2 out of the 3. So according to Rabbi Akiva, money and wealth is not the name of the game. Otherwise, the melech would also be potur. Rabbi Akiva says, no, it's nothing to do with the melech. Dafka, the Kohen Gadol, and not the melech, is potur from all 3 cases. Yeah, from all 3 types of Oleh veYored. The question is, Farvos, why is that? Omarove, let the Amoraim explain, and I'll make a baracha with your permission. Omarove, Mem Tes, my time with Rabbi Akiva. Why is Rabbi Akiva saying what he's saying? Yeah, Omar Kro. It says about a different mincha, it says the following. Ze korban aron u bonov. It says, we learned it a few weeks ago in the Torah, a Kohen Gadol, every day of his life as a Kohen Gadol, has to bring a korban, which is actually a mincha, to Beis HaMikdash in the morning, with the oil of the morning, of the Tomid, and with the Tomid of the afternoon. Asir Sa'efa, half in the morning and half in the afternoon, and that's a choiva, that's an obligatory, mandatory korban. And it says, Zeh korban aron ubonov. His children bring it when they when they in their inauguration, when they step into the role, the first day. But the Kohen Gadol brings it every day of his life. Really, the Kohen could bring it on his behalf. By the way, he doesn't have to be there if he doesn't want to. But it's his korban. Says the Dosha, Zu bo choy v'loy. That's the only mincha of a serious sa'efa that comes to him, meaning that he has to bring as a choyva obligatory. Ve'ein acheres bo choy v'loy. Very good. There is no other line starts with the word loy. There's no other mincha that a Kohen Gadol ever brings as an obligation. If he wants to, that's a different story. That means that there's no other mincha can be brought by a Kohen. You tell me, the lowest level of the three brings what? A mincha. So now the Kohen tells you outright, hello, not outright, but the drosha tells you, a Kohen Gadol does not bring any other mincha of that kind, of a sil sa'efa, which was the way the Omer doesn't bring, not the Omer, I'm saying the size of Omer, the volume of Omer, only the one that it brings every day, twice a day. But any other mincha it doesn't bring. Well, that comes to exclude what? Our korban. So he does not bring the korban of oil of veYored because the lowest version of it is a mincha. And the Torah tells you he does not bring any mincha except for the daily one. So if he sinned, he does not bring that mincha b'chlal. Mimela, also we assume he does not bring the other two. He does not bring also the shepsaleh because he is rich, but he doesn't bring it. It doesn't bring any of the three levels. B'chlal, this entire korban is out of his realm, out of his radar. Why? Because he cannot bring the lowest version. Because the Torah says he should never bring it. Frag the Gemara, how do you know? The Ema, now the Gemara challenges it. How do you know? The Ema, maybe, let us say the following. Maybe when the Torah excluded the Kohen Gadol from bringing mincha, midale dalus, which is the poorest of the poor, which is the third lowest level. Ba umayniu asir saifa. That's a tenth of the efa, the omer. Aval anius vashius, but the middle level or the higher level, which is the davs or the shepsaleh, loy mater rachmona. Maybe that the Torah is not right. Why are you throwing the baby with the water, with the bath water? Why? Why do you exclude everything? Maybe the Kohen Gadol will not bring the lowest one. He's anyhow a rich guy, but the middle or higher level he would bring. Now, the Mefarshim said that the Kohen Gadol conceptually could be poor if he mafkir all his money. If he actually gets rid of all his money, does hefker, disowns all his money, then he would be poor, in theory, until they make him rich again. But in any event, you get the question. The question is, why? Telling me Rabbi Akiva, with Rav's explanation, that a Kohen Gadol does not bring the korban b'chlal. It's only because he can't bring the lowest level, because the Torah says he shouldn't bring a mincha. What about level 2 and 1? Maybe then we can bring. And so the Gemara, no, don't think that way. That doesn't make sense. Why? It says in those korbanos of oil veYored, says the pasuk, "V'chiper olav v'kohen al chatosoi asher choto." The Kohen should atone, should give a kapor on him from the sin that he sinned. Me'achas me'ele. Again, we have this package deal business. Me'achas me'ele. What does it mean, me'achas me'ele? From one, from all. One, all for one. Miskaper be'achas, miskaper be'kulan. The one who has kapara on one of them, meaning through any of them, gets kapara to all of them. If any one of the three levels, in our case, the lowest level, doesn't apply to him, he has no kapara in the other two either. It's all or nothing. If you hit any of the three and you hit and miss, if the lowest level, which by the Kohen Gadol doesn't apply, because the Torah says, I'm repeating a little bit, a Kohen Gadol cannot bring any other mincha as a choiva except for the one of twice a day, including the lowest level of oil of veYored. No middle of the way. We're extreme people, all or nothing. Yeah, me'achas me'ela. That's it. If you don't bring the lowest one, you can't bring any of them. Me'achas me'ela, all for one, one for all package deal. Frag the Gemara. This is a bit of a tricky question now. You're telling me you have to have in your minds, I don't know if I emailed you the other day. Did I email you the very, very simple chart of like 3, I think on Thursday afternoon I did. I think so, I did. Yeah, you have 3 Averis, right? And you have 3 levels. It's very simple. It's 3 times 3 equals 9. Okay? Very good. So now, when I say 3, don't get confused. There are 3, there's a bit of an intro over here. Let's stop for a second. there are three levels: the rich, middle class, and poor, right? Okay, and also another set of three averos: the witness, the shvua, I will or I won't do something, and the tumas mikdash kadoshov, going to Bes Mikdash impure. There are three averos, time three levels of financial situation. What are we saying now about Kohen Gadol? What do we say? Oh, if he cannot hit the lowest, the bottom level, because he's never going to bring a korban a mincha, so nothing applies to him. Okay, makes sense. I accept that. I'm a believing Jew. Me'achas meila, yofi. Now comes a very witty question. Wait a second. Ela me'ata, according to you, hey, rak rega. Then Rabbi Akiva is contradicting himself from the other side of the street. Why? Dichtiv, it says in the Torah, it says regarding the types of sins, the types of averis, it says, if he's guilty of any of the three. Also says achas me'ela, not regarding the level of korban, how rich or poor you are, but regarding the type of avera. Hachinami, here too I'll say the same thing. The kolam ischayv be'achas, if any of the three applies to you, meaning any of the three averes applies to you, then all of them apply to you. If one of the three don't apply to you, let's say a person, from some reason, Tuma doesn't apply to him, let's say. So the other two won't apply to him either, exactly the same way, right? Get me? Now, alamatnan, maybe you say, okay, enochinami, good. No, Rabbi Akiva said otherwise. Lama, why does it say in our Mishnah? Rabbi Akiva Omer, line starts with the word Omer. Rabbi Akiva says, Nosi chayev chutz mishmias kol, question mark. Rabbi Akiva is the one who said that a Nosi, which last time I checked is a melech, what's his story? Is he chayev an oil veYored or not? The answer is yes. 2 out of 3, yes. Only the korban regarding shvuas ha'edus, being a witness, is potter, and a melech is not a witness. But the other two, regular shvua and tuma, do apply to him. That's so you see. So the question about, I'll explain the question. Why do you tell me Rabbi Akiva says all for one for all? The chart has to be spick and span full. And if the Kohen Gadol, he doesn't hit the rock bottom case of mincha, nothing applies to him. It's all or nothing. Why don't you say the same thing regarding, not in my mind the chart, not only going down. Why don't you say it also width to the width? Yeah, that way. In other words, if a certain type of sin doesn't apply to someone, then the other types of sin shouldn't apply to him either. And you don't say that. By melech, from some odd reason, you say otherwise. You say, no, the melech, each case is different. A melech, if a melech goes and did not give witness testimony to someone, but it's not his fault. He's not supposed to. Am I shaken what? The other two say he's chayiv. So you do believe there's dividing and conquering. Why is it so? It says le'achas me'ela, me'achas me'ela. Both are achas eila. So why over here we say, when it comes to the level of rich, poor, very poor, you say all or nothing. When it comes to the type of sin, or there's very similar pasuk me'achas me'ela, then you don't say that. Then you say, no, each case is dealt with differently. Yeah, in a pointed, the specific way. We say, no, the melech shvua doesn't apply to him of being a witness, but the other shvua and the tuma do apply to him. Make up your mind. Do you divide or do you include everyone together? And the psukim are very similar. Le'achas me'ela, me'achas me'ela. What's the answer? Answers the Gemara, Abaye v'Rove Damit Abayu. Abaye helps Rove now. Rove started, now Abaye joins forces with Rove. Me'achas mashmalei. The word me'achas sounds to him like what? Like all for one for all. When it comes to the level of korban, if you can't bring the lowest one, you can't bring any of them. Le'achas lo mashmalei. But the word le'achas, no. The word le'achas me'ela, that phrase was regarding the type of avera, not the financial level, but the type of avera, 1, 2, or 3, then we don't say the drosha. And the question is, what everyone's asking, why? Why is that so? The mashmalei, the kas v'rachmona lebasoif gabei asir soifa. It's all about location. The word me'achas is written at the end. After the Torah gave me all 3 levels, the Torah says, you know what? Me'achas meila, lememra, to tell me, the Torah waited all the way to the end to tell me, the call the mechayev ba'asir se'efa mechayev b'kulan. After the Torah listed all three levels, the Torah makes a sentence which is conclusive, all-inclusive. You know about all these three? Only if you can bring Asir Sa'efa, meaning your name is not Kohen Gadol or Melech, actually Kohen Gadol, sorry, not Melech, Kohen Gadol, then you bring the other two. But if not. But if you think that Mischayev Be'achas Afal Pisha Mischayev Bekulan, but if you wanted to tell me that regarding the type of Avera, not the type of Korban, rich or poor, regarding the type of Avera, then you should have written it in Dalus or Ashirus. You should have written it before, which means, let's explain. When the Torah talks to me about the level of how high, how low you are in the echelons of the rich or poor, the Torah waited all the way to the end, after where? After Dali Dalus, and said, that's conclusive. Only, went around the corner, only if you can be any of the three, your name is billionaire, but not Kohen Gadol. Your name is whoever, you can bring a mincha. All three apply to you. We wish you good luck to be a millionaire tomorrow. Mashenkin Kohen Gadol? No. A Kohen Gadol, regardless to its financial situation, Kohen Gadol, because halachically does not bring any korban of mincha unless the one who brings every day, except for that, then all three don't apply to him. That's why the Torah waited all the way to the end to include all of them together. Mashenkin, when the Torah spoke about the type of Avera, the type of sin, that the Torah did not make that sentence me'achas meila at the end. It did it at the beginning, or maybe it's between 1 and 2. That it's not including everyone. Me'achas meila is just stuck in the middle, not at the end of the whole story. That is not all inclusive. Some me'achas meila means one of the three. Not all together, one of the three. That's what Rabbi Kiva holds. Rabbi Kiva says one of the three. And therefore, if the, the Melech, two of the three apply to him very nicely. A Melech can make a shvua, I will drive a car tomorrow, I won't drive the car tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll meet with the Prince of Zimbabwe, I won't meet with the Prince of Zimbabwe. He makes a shvua, Melech, okay? The Seder, Bakasha, they can do. Tomorrow, he can go into Beis HaMikdash, well, he's defiled by mistake. I shouldn't do it, but yes. So these things apply to him. Let's summarize what we have so far. So far, two opinions. Opinion number one, Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says what? Rabbi Yossi says the rich people are out of the story. Rabbi Yossi, opinion number one, he says that the Melech and the Kohen Gadol are both very rich people, halachically rich, as opposed to Bill Gates, as opposed to whoever. They are halachically rich. They're supposed to be rich by halacha prescribed. And therefore, those korbanos of rich, poor, rich, riches to rags, don't apply to them. That's it. That's obviously Lili. None of these korbanos of the three apply to the two people. Rabbi Kiva says otherwise. Rabbi Kiva says two things. Regarding Melech, what kind of korban from the oil veYored applies to Melech? 2 out of 3. Which korban does not apply to Melech according to Rabbi Kiva? Which one of the three? Which one of the Melech? The Edus. Very good. Edus. Because the Melech's not supposed to be a witness. That's it. So he's really out of the story. It can never happen to him. What does Rabbi Kiva say regarding Kohen Gadol? Kohen Gadol, none of the three apply to him. This whole story doesn't apply to him. Why? Because the Kohen Gadol does not bring a mincha, except for the daily mincha he brings every day, twice a day. Other than that, that kind of mincha does not apply to him. And Le'achas Meila tells me, package deal. If he cannot bring the lowest one, he cannot bring the middle or the highest one either. Okay? That's it. 2 opinions. Beautiful. Continue. Mishnah. Question time. I'm listening. No? Fine. Maseches Horayos Ches Amud. Tessamud Aleph. Tessamud Aleph in the Mishnah. Kol HaMitzvos Shebatorah. This Mishnah is Chazorah, is a good review of what we've done before, and also new stuff. Says the Mishnah, Kol HaMitzvos Shebatorah Chayovin Shechayovin Osdoinon Kores. Very, very, very good summary of everything. This is worth listening to. Kol HaMitzvos Shebatorah Shechayovin Osdoinon Kores. Any mitzvah in the Torah where Zodon would be Mechayev, would oblige a person, would be punishable by Kores. Most of those cases, the shgogo is chatos. By mistake, it's chatos. Hayochid, maybe. What does the yochid bring on them? What kind of korban does he have to bring? Kisba veseira. a female sheep or female goat. The anosi, the king brings what? Seir, he goat. That's the only difference regarding regular korban between a melech and a regular person. Or Mashiach ubezdin mevin par. The regular chatos and Mashiach ubezdin bring par. When do Bezdin Mashiach bring par? If they did what? If they instructed wrongly, right? They were wrong about the halacha. Either people followed Bezdin, the majority, or by Kohen Gadol, he followed his own ruling. That's case number one. That's basically summarizing half the Masechta. What happens if the mistake was regarding Avodah Zarah? People mistakenly worshipped Avodah Zarah for whichever reason. Hayochid, ve'anosi, ve'mashiach. Here, all three individuals, including Kohen Gadol Mashiach, they all lump together, mevin se'ira. There's no choice of sheep or she-goat. They have to bring a she-goat. Gzeras HaKosov in Pashas Shlach. They bring a she-goat, that's Gzeras HaKosov. It says nefesh, any individual, regardless to his status, rich, poor, famous or not. Ubezdin. What do Bezdin bring if they misled the public, made them think that this particular Avodah Zarah is absolutely fine to worship? They bring par veseir. They bring two korbanos instead of one, instead of the regular one. They bring two. Par leoilo. The par, the bull, they bring as an oilo, as an offering that goes all the way up to Shemaim, everything. Veseir lechatos, and after that they bring the seir lechatos. They bring a he goat for chatos. Now, next korban, Asham Tolui. What's an Asham Tolui? When during Asham Tolui? Win a trip to, in doubt of what? In doubt of doing which Avera?
About the Zorah.
Not only. For example, it's an example. Meaning, you're not sure if you broke an Avera, they would bring a regular chatos, which would be Kores and Mishra Chatos, Avodah Zarah, Chelev, all kinds. This week we had also somebody who blesses Hashem. Now, Asham Tolui. What about Asham Tolui? Hayochid v'anosi chayovin. A regular person and a melech and osi have to bring Asham Tolui in case of doubt. Mashiach ubezdin pturin. The Mashiach in that is potter, is like Bezdin. Why? He says shegegosoi asher shogag. A Kohen Gadol shgogo is not a regular, normal, what I called technical shgogo. He has a halachic, academic shgogo, and that's why it does not bring Asham Tolu. It doesn't mean his situation is better. It just doesn't bring it. Asham Vadai. When do you bring Asham Vadai? Give me one example. We did not elaborate on so much. There are 5 cases of Asham Vadai. Asham Gzelas, you stole from someone and you swore l'sheker. Meilos, same thing, you embezzled from Beis HaMikdash and you lied and you nishbal sheker. And Shivcha Charufa had relations with a half Shivcha, and Asham Shivcha, Asham Gzelos, Asham Charufa, and Nazir and Mitzoiro. Nazir and Mitzoiro, not exactly Averis, that's a different story. Now, Asham Vadai, Hayochid v'anosi v'amashiach chayovin. Asham Vadai, again, Nefesh. Nefesh is any individual, whether it's a regular person, Nosi, Mashiach, they all bring. Ubezdin pturin. Bezdin are not nefesh. Bezdin are not one person. You can say they're but they're not one person. And therefore, the potter from Asham, if Bezdin actually told everybody to, to steal from Beis HaMikdash, their potter, it's terrible that people stole. They have their own cheshbon, but Bezdin are potter. Now, what about the next case? What about Korban Oleh veYored, the new star, the new kid in the block is Oleh veYored. Al Shmias Kol, Val Bituis Fasain, Val Tumas Mikdash v'Kodoshov. The 3 cases. What Shmias Kol? A person was invited to be a witness and he lies that he doesn't know anything. Val Bituis Fasain is a person who made a shvua to do something good or bad for himself. Val Tumas Mikdash v'Kodoshov, a person entered Beis HaMikdash or ate kochim while being impure unknowingly so. Bezdin, Turin. Bezdin are potter. Based on a potter from that, and we learned it previously, the reason why. Vayochid, vanosi, vamashiach, chayovin. Oh, look at that. Ayochid, that's opinion number 3. Look at that. Everyone's chayev. Did you see that? Now we say what? All of a sudden, all celebrities Nasi, Mashiach, haha, the all chayiv in oil veYored. As opposed to what we said, Rabbi Yosef Glin, Rabbi Akiva. Ela, there's a caveat here. She'en Kohen Gadol Mashiach chayiv al tumas mikdash v'kadoshov diva Rabbi Shimon. Opa. Rabbi Shimon says no. Rabbi Shimon says one exception, which we'll explain in the Gemara. He says a Kohen Gadol is not chayiv on entering the mikdash b'tumah. Wow. He's not chayiv korban if he did it by mistake. Phones off, please. Phones off, please. Yeah, a Kohen Gadol is chayiv on everything, or except for what? Entering Beis Hamikdash b'tumah. That's opinion number 3. Umahen mevin. What do they bring? Well, Korban Oleh veYored. They bring the regular Korban Oleh veYored. Whether you're a celebrity or not, well, I assume they won't bring the poor because they happen not to be poor. But conceptually, they bring the same korban as everybody else. Now comes the fourth. Not exactly the fourth opinion, the fourth point here by Belezer, he says that the Nasi brings a Seir. And Nasi brings a Seir, he brings a He-Got on that kind of Avera of Oleh veYored, and we're going to explain why tomorrow, Mirz Hashem. May we have a week full of Simcha, no more Tzar Mashiach today here to stop the Tzaraas and the Shtuyot, and everyone should make a nice haircut in honor of Mashiach. Thank you very much. Atzlocha Rabba, have a good day. Thank you.